Hi, friends. This is Schulze. Just a little content warning about this episode before we get started today. This delves and talks about themes of violence and abuse. Not in detail, but it does get a bit intense. So please tread with caution. And if at any point you just start feeling those uncomfy feels, please do what you need to do. All right? Okay. Let's dive in.
There was a knock at my door last night. I opened the door, and there stood a ghost. Not a ghost in the traditional way, but a ghost in the sense of a figure from the past. I didn't expect to see him again. I didn't expect to find him there. And yet there we were. There he was. How long has it been? How is it even possible? Something has broken within the city. Trains come from unknown places. Strange lights glow and flicker from impossible angles. And phantoms from the past have started to appear. So far, this hasn't caused more than a few missed train stops and half-remembered flashbacks, which is good, of course. No one is getting hurt. But still, something is shifting. Something is pulling at the threads that keep our city together. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. The city council has assured us that the issue is being looked into. Mayor Darian has organized both the police and most of the city's garbage bear population to explore the strange occurrences. They are determined to get to the bottom of this problem and get our city back to normal. Hopefully, things get fixed soon, but we'll just have to wait and see. Personally, I don't like any of this. I don't like being surrounded by strange things, being unable to do anything, being trapped while we wait for someone else to solve the problem. Like, what is the point to any of this? What is the point to me? I'm sitting here, watching my home fall apart, and there's not anything I can really do but read a bunch of silly poems and report updates to everyone. I feel trapped, stuck, like I'm right back. Let's take a look at the events going on for this week. Monday is the 23rd annual readathon at the library. Participants will be placed in the large, comfortable reading area and begin their first books at 9 a.m. sharp. From there, they will continue reading until every single book in the library has been read, or until the librarians get tired and kick them all out, because being a librarian is a very hard job and not enough people appreciate it, and sometimes some people want to have fun, but at the same time they're people and they're tired and they want to go home. Whatever comes first. Spectators are encouraged to come, cheer on their friends and favorite readers, and overall just enjoy this celebration of literacy and reading. Tuesday, the She Ghosts over in Old Town are hosting a pancake social at the old VHS rental store. This is the last known working Blockbuster, and it has every single video you could possibly want. If interested in attending, the ghost asks that you please bring paper plates and pancake toppings to share with everyone. The ghost will take care of everything else. According to paranormal researchers, They've been prepping for this day for quite some time now. They won't get off of the Food Network and have scrolled through all the recipes on all recipes to make doubly sure they know what to do. So come on by. It promises to be a very nice and exciting evening for all. Wednesday, the Wisteria Institute is setting up a demonstration over by Star Park and Cherry Lane. The details are hazy, and it's unclear what this demonstration could be. All we do know is that it starts at 5 p.m., and any flash photography is heavily discouraged. Protesters are expected to show up after recent actions on the Wisteria Institute have left many citizens upset. However, the Institute says not to worry. They're more than eager to deal with the backlash, especially when, and I quote here, "The comments come from the blind who do not yet fully see." So, yeah, look forward to whatever that is. Thursday is the opening night of a new indie film, The Seekers, at the Moonridge Movie Theater. Theater owner Isa Aksak said it took a lot of work and jumping through hoops to get the rights to present this film, but he pulled it off. "Now's the time," he said. "The people need good movies to lift them up, so I'm doing what I can." The director and much of the cast and crew will be available after the first showing to ask questions and to generally talk and hang out with. For more information, check out the Moonridge Movie Theater's website or find a raven in a park and whisper your greatest desires into its ears. Friday, the man will come. You know who he is. You've spent so much time of your life with him. When you were a child, you used to run up and down the beach with him, playing games that only made sense to the two of you. Of course, things were different. You were a child, and so was he. And then you grew up together. You grew close together. At one point in time, he seemed to be the only friend you could trust. Then things changed. Then he changed. One day you were children, running around without a single care in the world. The next thing you know, he's a man, and you're a woman. And you live in a world filled with expectations for people who are men and women. You can't shake free of that. You can't run away. He was ready to step into the role he was expected to play. But what about you? For a time, it seemed like you managed to get away. You felt free and alive in a way you could never imagine before. You established a life, a home, and an identity for yourself. You were free from the expectations that once held you. But it doesn't matter now. He's back. Despite everything that should make it impossible, the man is coming. He knows where you are, and there is nothing you can do to run away. And no matter how hard you try to fight or how hard you try to explain, there is nothing you can do, and you don't know where to turn or what to be anymore. And would you look at that? We've come to the end of the segment. So let's move on to something else. There are reports of strange lights being seen at the Red Rock Canyons on the south side of the city. Where did they come from? What do they mean? Who knows? Most of the scientists are still mad about the Wisteria Institute confiscating their equipment. But there are witnesses on the scene, and they report familiar faces coming from the lights, calling them forward, trying to lead them away. Interesting. You know what? Maybe we should avoid these things. Maybe it could be dangerous. Maybe maybe we shouldn't have these encounters. I mean, I've had a few run-ins myself, but we don't need to get into that. How about ads? That's a great idea. Let's read some ads. Your life is pointless. Aren't you tired of fighting? There's a better way. At the Wisteria Institute, we know a thing or two about struggling. Our science was developed to help you over many decades and years of testing and training. We are here for you, the people, to help you live your best lives and expand your horizon. We're at the cutting edge for technology, health, beauty, philosophy, paleontology, and so much more. You need us. Our teams dig deeper, richer, further, harder. So why fight it? A better way of living is just around the corner. Give up. Give in. Come in today and see what we can do for you. Time is running out. Your future is fading fast. It's time to come home. The Wisteria Institute. Come home. We'll be waiting. Oh, and welcome back, everyone. That break was not as long as I wanted it to be. But that's okay. That's okay. There have been a lot of strange sightings around town lately. People have seen familiar faces, relics from a forgotten life, and visitors from the past. I don't want to talk about it, but I feel for the sake of clarity and for the sake of making sure that I am honest in my reporting, I should tell you all about my experience. I had a visitor the other day. It was someone that I didn't expect to see ever again. He was tall, well-read, classy, and with eyes that seemed worn and weary from years of worry. Honestly, I barely recognized him. He barely recognized me. We were all but fragments of the people we once were. And yet, there he was. Lucian. Every bit as dramatic and driven as the day I ran away. He waltzed into my apartment without much of an invitation. I couldn't speak. How could I? It's been years since I left him at the altar. Years since I broke his heart. Years since all of it. And how do you find the words after all that time? He looked around my place, and then he smiled. He told me he's been looking for me. He told me how he spent the last 3.5 years moving heaven and earth to find me. He made a big, grand, dramatic story of his undying love and all the struggles that he went to just to bring me back. And now here we were. He reached for my hand. Couldn't take his. Lucian wanted me to connect. He wanted to fall back into the old roles we have, but I had nothing for him. We sat on my sofa for hours. He tried to coax me back into the old, familiar roles we used to play. I didn't feel much of anything. Just cold, sinking, trapped. He spent years trying to come find me, trying to see me. And I felt terrified to see him again. How do you describe the feeling of seeing the face of somebody you knew? Someone you used to be friends with, someone you used to love and care for? Have you ever walked through your childhood home after years of being away? Everything feels familiar. Everything is comforting, easy. You can see all the old little routines and memories and steps laid out around you. It's nostalgic, but it's not your home anymore. Things change over time. You changed over time. And suddenly what used to be familiar and cozy isn't your home anymore. And trying to push yourself back into it feels suffocating. Lucian made a big proposal. He was going to sweep me off my feet and carry me away to where we could be together, finally. He was always so dramatic when he came to these things, always wanting some grand, over-the-top thing for every little moment, because that's the only way he knew to express his feelings. And he was so big on his plans, on his ideas, on his dreams of the perfect life with the perfect Marina. But it wasn't for the Marina that I am. So I pushed him away. And Lucian really didn't like that. I had to step away. And I tried to go, but he followed. And he grabbed my arm and pushed me against the wall. His eyes were dark. His voice was a growl. And I was terrified. So very terrified. I have thrown people through the air before. I have done all the incredible Muay Thai tricks. But I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I'd sit there, be weak. Anyways, it's time for a very important horoscope report. Sweet beckons the call of the morning bird as the stormy night reaches its end. We are left torn and breathing in a space that is no longer the world we knew. The blooms of spring are blown away and all the ashes scattered as strokes of gray paint across the world. All is made new from the consequences of destruction. Yet within this wake does call the morning bird. It beckons the sweet and hopeful beginning of a world that is yet to be defined. As the morning light descends upon the gray and broken world, a flicker of possibility is unveiled to all that remain. Sweet beckons the call of the morning bird as the stormy night reaches its end. We are not yet destroyed, but left on the brink of a world that is yet to be. And with its beckoning song, our lives begin once again. Well, isn't that lovely? I hope you all take that into consideration as we go throughout the next couple of months. This has been your horoscopes. We do some self-defense stuff while we're in Muay Thai class. It's important to learn how to defend yourself in case something ever happens. We'll learn and review and drill various techniques for all sorts of situations you can find yourself in. The hope is that by the time you've gotten these things down, or by the time you're a black belt, you should be well versed and able to handle any sort of situation you get thrown into. How could you not? You've spent so much time preparing, training, drilling, and yet nothing really prepares you for when that moment finally comes. In class, we learned that there are 3 different responses that your body could go through when being attacked: fight, flight, or freeze. After so much time practicing, you figured that I would be well prepared to fight. How could I not be? I fought back when Jack attacked me. I fought back when fear demons took over my body. And I've been able to handle bigger and scarier things without any hesitation or fear. I've faced so much what should be possible. I shouldn't have frozen. And yet I did. Because out of all the things I faced, none of them seemed to scare me as much as Lucien did. When Lucien pushed me against the wall, I froze. He loomed over me, eyes ablaze, and I couldn't move. His cold hands pressed, dug into my shoulders. I can still feel the bruises he left behind. Do you have any idea what my life's been like since you left? He asked. The pain you put me through. I was pushed into the shelf. I stumbled down. I thought he would let me go, but he didn't. Instead, he just glared at me on the floor. He looked so tired. He looked older, much older than I thought he would. Like the years hadn't been kind to him at all. I just want to understand, Marina. Why? We had a good life together. We had a future ahead of us. I was prepared to give you everything and anything you want. So why did you leave? Picked myself up off the floor. And I told him. It wasn't the life I wanted to live. And now, let us take this brief moment to enjoy a poem. Sometimes I sit and wonder where the time's gone. I wonder what could have been different if I had been strong. There's a chance for us to take a turn at fate. But I realized the truth just a little too late. I'd spent eternity in the blink of an eye, just 2 close friends under a sunny sky. I turned to you, and you turned to me. Stretched that moment on for eternity. Instead, I'm lying here in the dark, all on my own. Lying in bed, empty and alone. Your smile's still etched on the side of my brain. And I really wish that all of that time didn't end in vain. Sometimes I sit and wonder where the time's gone. I wonder what could have been different if I had been strong. But there's a chance for us to take a turn at fate. But I realize the truth just a little too late. We are the ghosts of lives once lived. We are the phantoms of futures that never came to be. We are the graveyard of everyone else's ideals. An ideal life is aspirational until you force the details onto others. You cannot decide the fate of those who are not yourself. You cannot force others into boxes that you make. At the end of the day, reality settles. People will be themselves. And that is not something any amount of wistful thinking can change. I pushed Lucien away after what he did. He didn't seem too hurt, but I wouldn't have cared either way, if I'm being honest. We stared each other down for what felt like hours. He was frozen in his spot, stunned. I was stunned, frozen in mine. My hands were shaking with fear, fury, something else entirely. Not quite sure what, but it was energy. It was energy that would not be pushed around, that would not let him force me into a life he wanted. Energy that threatened violence from the slightest motion from either of us. I was ready to do what we needed to do. Lucky for me, Lucien didn't make that opportunity happen. Instead, he looked at me, worn and tired, weary and heartbroken. The years hadn't been kind to him, but time is rarely kind to those who obsess over the past. Did we ever have a chance? He asked. Not in the way that society would have wanted. He took that answer like a punchline to a heavy joke. Lights flickered around us. In the blink of an eye, he was gone. My apartment was empty, and it was as if nothing had happened at all. There's still a bruise on my shoulder, and a cut on my hand from where I fell into the shelf, but other than that, nothing of note. My apartment is as neat as it was before. The studio is just as messy as before. And life continues on with the familiar beats and patterns. We are haunted by the ghosts of what was and what could have been. And yet, at the end of these days, ghosts will fade like anything else. All across the city, there are many encounters, many strange and familiar faces. Some are pleasant, some are less so. But in any circumstance, we are faced to the phantoms that we once knew before. Don't let them overwhelm you. Don't let them talk you into anything. We are doing our best, and we are who we are now. And frankly, that's enough. The raccoons are doing their best to handle the situation. Trains are being rerouted, lights are being chased away, and Darian is reading through the contents of an old book left behind by the previous mayor. It's going to take a little while for him to get through that book, because for as smart as the garbage bear is, he never learned all of his ABCs. So, hold on strong. We are going to get through this, some way, somehow. Stay tuned for uncertainty, surprises, and a garbage bear learning the difference between Q's and P's for the first time in his life. There is much to be done, but we will all get through this together. I can promise you that. No matter how bad things are, we will get through. So hold on. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a good night.
Dreamgirl City is a production of N.J. Schulze. It was written, produced, and acted by N.J. Schulze. The poems featured for today were Burnt Remains of Our Holy Selves and Her, both written by N.J. Schulze. Have a question, have a comment, have a poem you'd like to submit? Email this and more to dreamgirlscityradio@gmail.com. If you like supporting our podcast, please rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts and share us around online. Also, check out our social medias. We got TikTok, we got Facebook, we got Tumblr, we got Insta. We even have a YouTube channel now, because trying to promote anything on Spotify is a nightmare, and so multiple platforms are good. Thank you so much for everyone who has stuck with us through thick and thin, and for all these years. You make this dream possible. And until next time, just remember, things may look dull now, but just wait and see how.